So I'm not gonna lie, Iruma-kun's been very good this season. It's a shame that it didn't really have a lot of demand on my channel, but I knew I wanted to talk about the end of the music festival once we saw the Misfits class. And at this point, I gotta highlight something I brought up a couple videos back that I did on this show, and that is Iruma does something that really no other anime can do. And I think after seeing a music performance, it's quite impressive, and I hope this is going to be a trend going forward, which is, if you think about what the arcs of Iruma actually boil down to, what was the Harvest Festival at the end of the day? It was a scavenger hunt. That was, in my opinion, the best arc of this show, a scavenger hunt arc. What was this arc? It was a musical performance. Now, musical performances are a little more in the ballpark of what people associate with school-based anime, right? But at the end of the day, and I do not say this as an insult, Iruma objectively has boring arcs. Are they actually boring in execution? No. But when you strip them down to their bare essentials, they shouldn't be that fun. They should be pretty boring. But instead, what we end up getting are these emotionally engaging arcs about a group of misfit demons who don't normally belong in society and maybe even their own family, such as Purson, who, you know, was born into a family who simply wants to be invisible, and he wants to do anything but that. He wants to stand out in the crowd. Hell, we were originally trying to make him just like be in the background. Maybe you could be invisible and do your performance. And he's front and center by the end of that performance, stealing the spotlight. We watched an arc that was shorter than I was expecting initially, but fucking nailed it. And honestly, I don't think it's a exaggeration to say Iruma-kun might be the only school-based anime that can take any boring concept and turn it explosive. Track and field stuff you see a lot in sports-based anime or even kind of high school romance. But think about some of the more boring sports. Okay, let's see who can toss the beanbag the farthest. Let's see who can jump over the pole the highest. At a certain point, you stop giving a fuck, but I believe Iruma can make that exciting. Okay, Poetry Slam Club. I believe these dumbasses could do it. Iruma is a very fascinating show that, had you asked me prior to this new season started, how many seasons could I realistically see myself watching? You know, maybe one or two more. But because of the introduction, the proper introduction of a character like Purson, and seeing what they're still able to do, you know, it's not about how much manga's left to adapt. That doesn't matter. There's plenty of fucking shows and mangas like Rent a Girlfriend that went on far too long for a dumbass concept. And even concepts I like, such as Iruma, because let's be honest, Iruma's a bajillion times better than Rent a GF, okay? There is that habit of authors taking shit too long. I don't know how long, but I feel like 8 seasons is about where I stand right now. I feel like I could probably watch 8 seasons. And unfortunately, like with any anime, once you get into a second to maybe third season, if it's not a mainstream name that people are going to come back to, you know, you can only do so many videos on YouTube. But I like this show. I've been watching it every single week, and I thought what they did with this performance has been incredible. We cover every episode on Patreon. I've had some people say, Brandon, what happened to the Iruma? Did you abandon us? And yes, I did. But I enjoyed this. I think this whole performance was pretty impressive, and I think they did a great job at showcasing why they deserve that perfect score. Now, do I think they're actually going to get a perfect score? Honestly, I more or less predict the teacher who's a hard ass is going to give us like a 4 or a 3, and then the crowd's going to like grab their pitchforks and he'll be like, wait a second. But to be honest, the only thing I have like criticism-wise when it comes to this arc is it was a little shorter than I was expecting. Now, granted, we still have a little bit left of it, but there was only like 5 classes doing a performance. And while we did get to see a little bit of every class, and we did get the full performance of the Misfit class, I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity not dedicating at least 5 minutes for every single class. I think it would have been nice to see an entire performance for all of them, if we're being honest. I get it that the main star attraction was characters like this and, you know, the Misfit class. But I think it would have been nice, maybe adding a 2 or 3 episodes, even if it would have been anime original. I don't think many Iruma fans would have been mad if we would have had, like, say, 2 episodes dedicated to the other classes' performances, like half and half. I think that would have been nice. That's my only major criticism, though. In terms of characterization, they did a fantastic job with him. I mean, you definitely feel for him, and I think it's very funny because I thought they were going a lot more emotionally manipulative with his father, especially when he tried to pull him away, and the mom coming in being like, I fucking love your dad so much, but you gotta do what you gotta do. They could have made it a lot more toxic, and in doing so forced a lot more drama that I don't think was necessarily needed. And in general, standout character at this point in time. One of the things I quite liked about the whole performance, though, they weren't afraid to just let the voice actors not be professional singers. Now, some, like her, sounded fucking amazing. They were stealing the show. But there was other characters like Clara and a handful that you could tell, like, they weren't professional singers, but they just sounded like their voice actors doing the best they could. And I'm so used to anime needing everything to be perfect. Like, we have to make sure that, okay, we're gonna hire someone who can do good singing because you're kind of shitty at singing. Instead, it just was all the voice actors singing. And in doing so, it made it feel more real. Because had everyone been this 10 out of 10 singer, and there was no flaws, no bumps along this performance, it would have felt too artificially made. And with how good their set production was, with how good their stage design and choreography and everything was, having a little unrefinement was actually really nice, because characters like them, great at the trumpet, great at singing, right? But you need a little more unrefinement. And I think by having a little amateurish singing and, you know, a little more flubs along the way kind of made the whole thing stand out a lot better. I don't know, it was a good arc. Do I think it was better than the Harvest Festival? No. And I'd say at this point I can say that confidently, because even if we have a couple episodes technically left of this arc, we have the main performances out of the way. But this was a really good arc. Maybe it was second best arc or third best arc, I'm not sure exactly. But in general, I heard some good things about this arc, and overall, I leave pretty satisfied. And I'm honestly impressed that this might be the only show that I can think of and confident believe they could take any basic bitch idea in a school-based setting and probably make it emotionally engaging. Not just exciting, but emotionally engaging. And normally I don't give a shit. This is more common in rom-com stories with high school characters where they're like, okay, our girl or our guy, they're putting on a performance. Usually it's fucking Cinderella or something like that. I don't give a fuck about those plays, man. And I don't give a shit about their song and dance. But when you have great animation, like I'm pretty sure most, if not all of their dancing was 2D. Like the choreography, the animation, the emotion, really Purson is the reason the whole thing fucking was sealed though. Just good stuff. I'm enjoying Iruma. We do cover it every week on Patreon, so consider supporting, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz. Don't know how many more videos we'll be doing on YouTube on this show, maybe just whenever I feel like it, when I feel like there's enough to talk about. But you can let me know if there is more demand. But yes, Patreon, every week we do cover it. And hey, if you're already over on my Patreon, I'll give you a video shout out too, because my patrons will make it all possible over here on YouTube no matter what. Alright, so today we got Gonzago, SLF Needs More Love, Yoon, Marcus Nielsen, Get Zerd, Lynn Hamrick, John Matrix, Braun P, and Aiko. So I appreciate the support. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.